This is a grade 3 mission 6 overview for Zearn math. If you're in Eureka, it's the module 6 overview. The title is display data. The central focus is we're applying multiplication and fraction knowledge to represent and analyze data. This is a medium priority mission, which of course, again, a medium priority means you get through it. You don't worry about mastery for all students. You have students who will master it, that's great. If students don't, it's not a place to spend extra time. Your high priority missions are the places to spend that extra time. A medium priority mission gives you the opportunity to work on skills from higher priority missions during times of fluency practice. And it can also give you the opportunity to differentiate a little bit for students who might be struggling. The progression is like this: display data in tables and picture graphs. You will have a question probably on the end of your testing that has some type of graph that students have to make or read. Moves into drawing picture graphs where the pictures are equal groups. Good review of multiplication. Uses tick marks and scaled bar graphs. And they eventually create line plots with fractional intervals. So a good review of fractions on a number line. The prerequisite skill or fluency practice for this mission, for this specific mission, work on automaticity of multiplication facts, as this translates directly to eventual success with fractions. So as you continue to work on fractions, without automaticity of their facts, that learning is going to become more and more difficult. Core fluency is the same as spiral, actually, not same as core. The foundational goal in this mission, line plots with fractional intervals, I think, is the most likely item to be tested. These aren't things, these plots, these graphs aren't things kids have to master yet, and it's not something they really ever master, because when you look at this type of material, everything's different. So over time, they need a lot of exposure to different plots, different graphs, different types of representations, so that they learn to look at them and evaluate them for what they are. There are, of course, commonalities that they'll develop later, like X graph, what's on the X graph or the horizontal graph, what's on the Y or vertical graph. A lot of times the data plotted on those eventually become consistent, and they have consistent meanings, but they don't need to know that yet. So just the exposure is good for them, but it's not something they will necessarily master at this point. What doesn't go away are the things we've built upon for the entire year. Of course, the first two, fluency with addition and subtraction and automaticity with addition and subtraction facts, carried forward from second grade. Again, they just need these sprinkled in occasionally. By now, you shouldn't have to revisit this a lot. Automaticity with facts 1 to 10, you should be hammering that in the third grade because that's your standard. And now unit fractions and part-whole relationships, just throwing in some problems from time to time and revisiting those is good. The things that you covered in the prior mission, don't ever let that go away. You need to keep revisiting that. It'll help with their success as they progress through the later grades. Special notes if you're running short on time, which most likely at this point you are, needing to cut and trim a little bit. What's really good about missions like this is you can work on prior skills, so it's good to do them if you can and if you have the time. But if you're running out of time, you could actually key in on a couple of things. You could have students work with a scaled picture graph, so you could go and find released items from CMAS that have any type of a picture graph that would have been a prior test question. Have kids work on it in groups, try to find 4 or 5 of these and just expose them to that type of thinking. And have them do an activity where they generate data by measuring things and graph them on a line, so they could measure each other, measure the students in the class. They could measure things that vary so that they can put them on a line. You can probably find some type of activity to do this. The point I'm making here is with a few activities, you could probably cover this and not have to teach every lesson in detail that's in the Zearn or Eureka curriculum. You could also turn this topic over, and I would recommend making sure they cover these things in ST Math if they're included. That would be appropriate.